Hi, I'm Maddie Hockaday, also known as the Anne of this relationship.
And I'm Holly, the Leslie.
We love Parks and Rec, we love behind the scenes.
And we love each other. This is literally the best Parks and Recreation rewatch show.
We're your park pals.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Hello and welcome!
Hello there.
We are here at season 2, and it's happening.
We've done it. We've done season 1, completed. Hopefully you guys listened to all of it before you got to this point, but we are doing season 2 now.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the Pawnee Zoo. There's so many new people and new places and information, so I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I think we also talked about how much we just love this episode as a whole anyway, regardless of the impact it makes on the transformation of the show. It's just it's just a good episode. So,
it's so good. Well, I have no recap moments from the rock show. I feel like I pretty much caught up on everything that everyone needed to know, unless you guys, when you get to that point, let us know, and if you have questions I can go back, but I personally have nothing, so we fucking nailed it. That's all I have to say.
We're amazing. It's fine.
I do have one thing to say that is kind of sad on my end, is that the season 2 DVDs do not have commentary on each episode. They only have specific episodes where people hopped in to talk about the commentary or to do the commentary, and it made me very sad because I was like, oh shit, did I just order the wrong one? And then I googled it, and no, they do not. But that just means I delved deeper into my research via the interwebs and Wikipedia, so
there you go. Problem solved.
So obviously it would be better if I had the commentary, but they must have just been busy, so whatever.
It's fine, but we'll have some episodes, you said, right, that will have commentary.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
One of which, little preview moment, is Ron and Tammy, so that's coming up.
I really hope that they're both on it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
This season, guys,
it's
is so full.
It's getting real.
It really is. I think because what happens is I watch this episode for the first time. This is what I do for all the episodes. I watch it the first time, not taking notes, not anything, just refamiliarizing myself with what kind of happens. And then I'm like, I'm just going to sit and watch the next one. I'm just going to sit and watch
right.
And then I just watch all of them. And
it's like SpongeBob 5
this...
hours later.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just so good. We have so many great episodes to unpack this season, and it just keeps getting better, in my opinion. So I think we've got some good episodes coming up, you guys.
So ready. Okay, well, season 2, episode 1, Pawnee Zoo. This is written by Norm Hiscock, which he wrote Rock Show, and I will keep reminding you every episode we have that Norm is the writer of or producer of, which he was a producer of almost all of them, or consulting producers, what they called him. But anyway, he wrote Rock Show, but he was also he was the creepy fella on the Wall of Men. So just FYI for reference. And this was directed by Paul Feig, which I have so many things to say about him, and I'm sure that you do too. The major thing, obviously, if you are a follower of us, is to know that he is a huge director of The Office, but he also directed Bridesmaids and a bunch of other things that we love. He also created Freaks and Geeks, so that's a fun thing. If you haven't, if you slept on Freaks and Geeks, get on it, because we need to, make that bigger or something. Have a little reunion moment, maybe not, but either way, it's good.
There could be a lot of you too, I feel like, that were not of age really to watch Freaks and Geeks when it was first coming out, because I know I wasn't watching it when it first came out. I went back and watched it later.
Yeah, same.
But it's where people got their start, such as Seth Rogen, James Franco, Jason Segel,
Busy Phillips.
Ellen. Yeah,
love Busy.
It's so good. So I mean, you just hear those names, and they were basically nobodies at that time, right? They were, were they teenagers? They were in high school. Yeah. That they were playing people in high school.
Yeah, I think Busy Phillips was a sophomore in college maybe at the time, because she had moved. Okay. And she went to Loyola Marymount, which I have her on my vision board. I really, really want to meet her one day. I follow her podcast too. I really like her a lot.
Holly, I have a question.
Yes.
Did we watch Cougar Town together?
Did we watch it together?
I don't know.
I feel like we've talked about it because I remember watching it.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it was the year after you moved and we watched it and we would talk about it.
I'm pretty positive that's on Amazon Prime now, by the way.
Which also, if you enjoy wine and miss Courtney Cox, that show.
Always. And directed / created by the same people as Scrubs. So, I mean, honestly...
That's right.
We just got a whole full circle moment happening. And by full circle, I don't mean back to Parks and Rec because it's not, but but full circle to podcast because Scrubs also has a podcast. But Paul Feig, anyway, back to him. He also directed The Heat, which is the Melissa McCarthy movie that we mentioned a while back. But also, I just thought it is very important to mention that he played Mr. Eugene Poole in Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He was like Sabrina's teacher. And I remember seeing, he was an actor. He doesn't have a huge acting career, but like I remember seeing behind the scenes things from The Office, and I saw him as the director, obviously, and I was like, who is that? Why does he look so fucking familiar? And then I Googled him. Obviously, this was like a million years ago, but I was like, oh my God, he plays Sabrina's teacher. So you guys.
That's crazy.
Also, Sabrina, I've been like not really rewatching it, but it'll be on every now and again, like, or I'll have it on. The theme songs of early 2000s shows were like so wild and crazy, and like they were doing a lot of stuff with green screens and CGI, I feel, and so that was really interesting. But Paul Feig, you have to follow him on Instagram. I don't know if we've talked about this, but if you haven't followed him, he is it Drunk Funkle or something like this?
I don't know.
Funk Drunkle or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So he has these happy hours, and he does all these really cool cocktails. He has a bar that is like insane, dude, and there's like all these lights and fun things that he makes, and his wife sometimes comes in and they do dances together. It is so wonderful, and he teaches you how to make all these cocktails. It's so good. I love him, although I do think that now he has a mustache and I'm not really about it. It looks creepy, but I love him.
If you want to know how to mix a good drink, it looks like it's gone. This picture that he posted February 27th. Oh, nope, it's there. It's just super light because he's got like the gray hair. Yeah. You know?
It's weird.
I don't know what you're talking about the hashtag, right?
Well, no, his name, isn't it like his Instagram name?
No, it's Paul Feig.
Oh, is it? Okay, then maybe there's something.
There's some sort of hashtag he does because he'll do that. Like what she's saying is like it's really cool. He puts on a show. It's not just like here's a cocktail to make.
Right.
Like, it's a show.
100%. I love it so much.
He has a baton and a top hat in this one.
He's always super dapper and doing like dances and stuff. It's so funny. I love him. I'd love to meet him one day.
If you need like any form of entertainment, just go. Go take a look at his Instagram.
Yes. And speaking of people, like crossovers between Parks and Rec and The Office and just kind of like this whole ecosystem of people and Greg Daniels and everything, I started watching very briefly, I haven't finished it yet, but the new Amy Poehler movie called Moxie on Netflix. Have you heard of this yet?
I saw the trailer. Very excited to watch it.
The first 5 minutes, Maddie, I kid you not, there were at least 3 people that we've seen on Parks and Rec. And I was like, okay, we're just recycling people. Obviously, they're great. I'm not saying that we're, just using people that aren't good. But I was like, oh my God, okay, this is the Amy Poehler world. It's like when you see any of Steve Carell's shows, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's all the same people.
Yeah, connections are a huge deal.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, if anybody's seen Space Force is the new show with Steve Carell. Well, it's not really new. I guess it's been out for a year, but COVID feels like it's been 5 years, so it still feels new to me.
Yeah.
But John Ralphio, the guy who plays John Ralphio, is in Space Force, and it was created by Greg Daniels. Yep. So you've got the merge there too.
Oh my gosh. One day we'll be in the Greg Daniels, Mike Schur universe, or Mindy Kaling, whichever one. Doesn't matter. Or Amy Poehler, whatever. If you know one, you know all of them.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited.
Okay, well, that's all I have to say about this episode, so I'm ready for a summary if you're ready.
I'm ready. I wanted to just quickly mention, because I started watching this show, Paul Feig also directs, and I think he's one of the creators on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. Yeah. So if you haven't seen that,
I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen the previews. People really like it. I think it was nominated for a few things too.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And so it keeps it interesting, but I mean, it's emotional. I'll throw it out there to you right now. If you are not like, I like to cry when TV shows, if you're not one of those people, like, I would say maybe don't.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't think that. Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't, but I mean, there's little snippets of like, you know, some health crises in a family, and it, you know, it hits your heart a little bit. That's my little side comment before I give you our summary here.
Yay!
Shall we do this?
We shall do this.
In this episode, Leslie is making an effort to raise zoo attendance and plans a penguin wedding unknowingly that both penguins are boys. Marsha Langman, who is a conservative activist with the Society for Family Stability Foundation, asks for her resignation, and Leslie struggles on taking a stance in her public position. In the meantime, Mark asks Anne on a date, and Andy returns to Pawnee from his Kansas mountain adventures, which I can't wait to talk about.
Kansas mountains. That was a good joke, too. And when Anne's like, I don't really know where he is right now.
Yeah.
Kansas doesn't have mountains, folks.
Yeah, in case you didn't know, it's super flat.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
Hence their tornado issue.
This cold open is so good. I cannot handle it. It really reminded me of myself. Will rap at any given moment. It's mostly Nicki Minaj, but oh my god.
It has to be up there with the Easter egg one for me. It's so solid. It's one of the other ones that I show people who like don't really know what Parks and Rec is, and I'm like, do you want to just see a cold open? That's really cool.
Yes,
it's hilarious. I have many thoughts about this. First of all, if people don't know and you'd like to look up the actual song, it is called Parents Just Don't Understand by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the one and only Will Smith, the Fresh Prince. So, which I'm gonna be honest, I've heard this song before, love it, never knew it was Will Smith.
Really?
Yeah, did not make the connection.
Whoa.
Apparently I'm dumb.
No, you're not. No, that's so wild. Yeah, I watched the video for the first time in a million years, and I was so in love. I was like, oh my god, okay. So I was watching the video. It's a straight 4 minutes and 43 seconds of him rapping. Like, there's not serious? Really a break, I feel, in this rap. It's gnarly. And it's just like insane to me how, I mean, I know we're all fans of DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, but like, I just reinvigorated my like love of them, I feel, because they just created such a style, not only in their, you know, music, but also in their like aesthetic, I guess, not to sound too Kardashian-esque, but like they just created such a visual representation of their style, which I just loved. Also, so just FYI, I have a lot of shit about this too, but like this song was released in 1988, so he was 20, and I looked at a picture of him then and now, and I was like, I don't know how he's doing this.
No, he doesn't age. It's ridiculous.
Oh my god. And he was playing a 16-year-old evidently. Like, that's what one of the lyrics says, that he was 16. But I did not know. So fun fact, I just recently watched the Quincy documentary on Netflix. Quincy Jones and Rashida Jones, obviously, our one and only Ann Perkins, is the daughter of Quincy. And Quincy Jones, if you're not like, you know, already familiar with him, is a prolific songwriter, musician, orchestral arranger, scorer, everything. And so I didn't know, though, that he was a huge part of making Fresh Prince an actual show. Like, he approached them first, and then NBC, and it happened, like, NBC gave them a show, essentially. And it, like, did you know that?
My brain is literally exploding right now. I've never put that together.
And this might be just really silly. Maybe everyone else knows it, but I didn't know. So yeah, that's the thing. DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince were already a musical group like 2-3 years before the show. And then the show happened after Quincy heard them and saw them and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't know why I didn't know that. But Fresh Prince is now on HBO Max. The reunion, evidently, I haven't watched it yet, but the reunion is quite moving. And so I really gotta get on that. Yeah, you gotta watch the documentary. It's so good. It's so good. He's like BFFs, or was BFFs slash worked with Frank Sinatra. He just has such a crazy career. It's gnarly.
You said it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on it. Sorry, guys. Nerdy music break.
Yeah, very much needed. I looked up also the lyrics to this, and I wanted to see if she got every lyric right, number one, which I knew that she would, but I just wanted to double check her. And number two, I wanted to see if she rapped the entire verse, and she did not. I'm sure she did when they were filming it, but they cut out a lot of it. Like I said, it's 4 minutes and 43 seconds of straight rapping. So, like, obviously even the verse itself is long. So they did cut some of it. But it's so funny that she's moving around the office at the same time as she's rapping these, like, perfect lyrics. Perfectly.
Yeah. I think that's something I wrote down too, was like, I don't think she sang the whole song, but I think you're right. I think they made her do the whole thing, right? And then they chopped it up. Because the editing, it does a really nice job of showing you how far she made it around the office and then ending back up into her office. And it also helps you understand the time that passed, right? Because if we think, like, if they hadn't done cuts like that, you could have just thought she was just singing for like 30 seconds or whatever.
Right.
Whereas, like, it's funnier that way, because then you're like, Ron has literally been sitting here for 4 minutes,
right,
waiting to tell her that this dude is on fire.
Yeah.
Which is so bad.
I know. It's so
I have to say, like, I don't feel like any of us should laugh as hard as we do at that, because there's somebody on fire. But it's hilarious. And also, it's kind of on Ron, in my opinion, because
totally.
If you're the boss and your subordinate starts rapping and there's like a legit emergency, like someone could die.
Yeah.
Why are you letting them rap the entire song?
I know.
Like,
and I was wondering too, like, is that who you'd call first? Like, have they called 911 already? Like,
right. That's another valid question.
I really want to ask. That's another thing too, you guys, as a goal for this season, which I think I've already talked to you about, Maddie, is that I really want to have someone from my actual Parks and Rec department somewhere. I mean, I would love for it to be either in Nashville or Arizona, so that we could like relate to it. But some Parks department person, I want to know if anyone has ever been called because of that kind of emergency in a park. Like, I'm sure they have, but I would think it would be like after the fact, not like while it's happening. I don't know. I think this is the first cut theme song, by the way. We no longer have that long one because now they've kind of got an idea / more. Now Chris Pratt is no longer a guest star. He is included on the series regular lineup. So he isn't, like, it doesn't say guest starring, so.
Right, which I'm super excited about. And we're all very excited that he ended up not just being there for 6 episodes.
I know.
Because I don't even think I want to know what the show would have looked like without him.
So wild to think about that.
Oh yeah. Notice that Jerry and Donna are still guest stars.
Yeah.
They are not full-time people yet.
Yep. Also, I love Donna's new hair. She's like coming into her own, I feel.
It's so Donna. I feel like we get a glimpse at the real Donna in this episode, and I'm really excited to bring it to everybody's attention.
Yes, absolutely. The thing that I'll kind of mention before we get started at the zoo was that kind of a fun fact was that this same-sex marriage plot was inspired by the real-life pairing of Harry and Pepper, which were 2 penguins that were quote-unquote romantically involved male penguins at the San Francisco Zoo. So this was a real story that they based this off of. They really wanted to start including topical issues, that was kind of outside of the park plot that we have been, listening to this whole first season. So this was really interesting because, gay marriage at the time was very, prevalent in politics at the time. So, and obviously this real life pairing of these penguins at the San Francisco Zoo definitely inspired them. But I thought that was so interesting. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. I didn't know that, but I also want everybody to take like a deep breath for a second and realize that we're only really talking about 11 years ago.
I know, right?
That gay marriage was not legal everywhere. There were certain states where it was legal, and I have some information on that later. But
yeah,
it's really it's really sad to think that it hasn't even been like 10 years since people could get married freely to the person they loved in this country.
I understand. I also love her Hillary Clinton. I'm going to the suit, or not to the suit. I'm going back to the zoo, but I love her Hillary Clinton like pantsuit thing that she has on. She's kind of getting there, I feel, with her outfits.
She's getting there. I also like Marsha Langman comes in later really upset, right? But she doesn't mention the fact that April and Leslie, who are two females, are dressed as if they're getting married. Like, no one has a qualm about that. They're worried about animals.
Okay, that is interesting, because at first I thought that.
Yeah, because April is wearing like a dress, like a white dress over her clothes.
Right. Okay, so I have something, because I kind of wanted to look this up, and I found this in Wikipedia, because I was wondering what is she wearing? Like, what is that dress supposed to be? So technically, she was supposed to be a bridesmaid to the penguins, and Tom was supposed to be the best man, and there so that was part of Wikipedia. But then I also was looking at some deleted scenes, and there was a deleted scene that confirmed that, basically. So April was supposed to be a bridesmaid, Tom was supposed to be the best man, and the wedding rings were herrings. They were fishes.
Oh my gosh.
Or fish, plural. And they were these earring looking things in the shape of herrings. But anyways.
That's amazing.
Herrings, you guys.
Okay.
Pun intended.
But when Leslie performs the ceremony, Tom is like legitimately nowhere to be found.
Yeah, he's not there.
He's in the audience.
Right.
But
no.
he's like, he's not where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, and so there was another deleted scene I thought was really interesting, where this was supposed to be like an actual ceremony, and I think they had to cut a lot of that out for time constraints, obviously, but like it makes way more sense. Like, if you guys have the DVDs or have an opportunity to look at the deleted scenes, like Leslie has a boombox with the song for the wedding. There was like a big ornamental box, like glass box, that the penguins were in, and there was like a red carpet that they were walking down, but then they wouldn't walk down because they're animals, and obviously they don't give a shit about your prerogatives. So it was like supposed to be this whole thing that we didn't really get shown. I think we knew that it was kind of that, but we didn't really get to see all of the like nuts and bolts of what exactly the ceremony was. So that's what happened.
Good to know, because my first inkling was that they were also dressing up as a bride and groom. So it's good to get that clarification.
I mean, it does look like that.
Yeah. I'm glad you looked that up, because that's good to know.
Are these penguins animatronic, by the way?
When they're humping each other, they definitely look like it.
Right, like they're not real. This is another pigeon mystery.
Yeah, how do you force two penguins to do that? Like, that's in your timing. So I was going to ask you that as well. I'm definitely thinking they're either animatronic or CGI or something.
I know, dude. Mike Schur, can you please tell us?
Yes, reach out. We want to know all the things about the birds. I have to give props to Leslie, honestly, because when she's listing these ideas and we're getting a visual of these ideas she's had to get the attendance up at the zoo, they're really cute. Like a birthday party and the whole chimpanzees graduating college or whatever. That's really creative. And I think if I was a kid, I would really think that was fun to go see that stuff.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing, too, that I kind of wrote in my notes, that they really make it clear that her whole prerogative is to be cute. Mm-hmm. Like, cute is the word that she uses all the time. And so, and then she says that it kind of, like she says, doesn't she say the percentage of admissions has gone up? So,
up 30%.
Yeah. Right? So, I mean, she accomplished her goal. Also, why didn't they tell them that? Why didn't they tell her that they were both boy penguins?
Can I say that was my next note?
Yes, 100%. You can say that, and Jinx. I was like, why didn't that fucking zookeeper like say anything? I mean, I guess it didn't matter at the time.
He's legit standing there, Holly, and just watching it happen. And then when it's over, he's like, "Oh, those are two boy penguins." It's like,
it's so strange. Yeah, I was like, that's all could have been avoided, I feel. Mm-hmm. But, like, also, love is love. It doesn't matter. But but I feel like he could have totally brought that up at some point since he knew it was going to be a wedding.
Right. Well, and if, I think, like you're saying, love is love. We're not saying you need to cover up gay marriage. That's not what we're saying. But, to make Leslie's life a little less awful in this episode, if she had known, she could have turned it into something else. Like... they were adopted brothers or, something. She could have done something to fix it. But yeah, it just kind of spiraled out of control, like right after she did her little I do situation, you know?
I do.
It's so cute.
I love it.
Oh my gosh.
So these scenes at the Pawnee Zoo were filmed in the abandoned zoo picnic area in Griffith Park, Los Angeles. Griffith Park is the observatory that has the Hollywood sign, but it also has, it's an observatory. So like it also has the little space museum and stuff where you can look at the moon and the stars and whatnot through these like super dope telescopes. I forgot that word.
Super dope telescopes.
Super dope telescope. New band name, I call it. But yeah, so I thought that was really cool that was filmed in Griffith Park. So if you've ever been to a lot of people go hiking at the abandoned zoo area. So there are two different areas of Griffith Park. There's one that's like the lower area where a lot of people go hiking, and it is really an abandoned zoo, like on the other side of the hill. And then the Griffith Park like observatory is on the other side. So anyway, regardless, that's where it was if anyone was interested.
Well, that's my last note on the zoo.
Me too. I'm at the courtyard now. I saw pigeons.
Oh. Holly's
I'm
on
like
it.
trying not to bring it up every single time I see them, but I can't help myself.
Were they moving, Holly?
Yeah, they were moving. They were
Okay.
real. They were real. I'm convinced they were real.
They're legit
100%.
pigeons this time.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay. Well, how awkward is this life between Leslie and Mark right now? I'm like, I just was sitting there. I was like, Leslie, honey, like you're making it
Friend
worse.
punch. That was a friend punch.
Friend
No
punch.
sexual intention.
I just want to make it clear.
She goes too far.
Yeah. Which like Mark, I feel like he's like already over it, right? He says like I hit rock bottom like literally that night. Like he's not hanging over it, right? He's still, and he's not trying to be weird with Leslie. I think he's at this point where he's like, I can be friends with Leslie. Yeah, we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
It happened.
Yeah.
We were drunk.
Right.
But now she's like making it super weird.
Yeah, totally. I looked up this water brand on Mark's water bottle because I wanted to know if it was real.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
It is called Ice Molillion. I'm going to say that's the pronunciation of it. It is a fake, not a real company. I looked it up and it literally said, like the first thing said, brands made for TV shows.
Nice.
So I thought it looked really real though. Good job, props department. I liked it. I was convinced, but I was like, I've never heard of that. Wonder what it was.
I like it. Mark, right as Leslie's leaving, brings up the wedding between the penguins. And we get this talking head with this just beautiful line that I just can't even with, that people in this town don't really like their politicians being activists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
Right, and what a change we've had. Like now,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like being an activist in government is almost required. Like obviously you're not supposed to. Like that's not how it was built. You're not supposed to be biased in one way or the other. But like we have just changed and shifted so much with our past administration that like it's almost like if you're not an activist, then you have no place to like be representing.
Why are
your
you
people.
running? Right. Why are you running if you're not an activist for something? Is basically kind of how we've gotten. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that line too, for sure. I'm glad you called it out.
Yeah, it's a keeper for me. I've noticed it, I think, every time I've watched it, and it always like mind blows me a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, and it does go with Leslie's whole thing of like she doesn't want to stir up any animosity. She doesn't want to be, making a political statement. But it is interesting how she changes from that. So I love that.
I wanted to comment really quickly, just in case some people don't know what's going on. But she was saying somebody got suspended for wearing a Livestrong bracelet.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And,
I think,
that's in reference to people who don't know, is like supporting Lance Armstrong after finding out that he was using steroids for the majority of his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And also they that's not the first time, or that's the first time they mention it, but that's not the last time they mentioned Livestrong. And I love that line. I can't remember what season it's in. We'll get there. But when she says like, I still don't know where we stand on that. Like, so yeah. Because then, like, not only do you find out about the steroids, but then you find out about Sheryl Crow and all that bullshit. So,
you know who says that? It's Mindy as Kelly in The Office. She says, "I'm on Sheryl Crow's whole side of that thing."
Oh yeah. She says that too. Yeah. Yes.
So they bring it back a couple different ways.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They really were struck by that.
Yeah. I also just love the look everybody gives Ron when he says where he knows where the bulge is.
Yes.
And he knows what the bulge
Oh my God.
is.
I had I laughed out. That was my next note too. I laughed out loud when Ron said it's called the bulge. And he's the only one that knows what it's called. Oh my God. Right. I love that.
But also that bar name. Like
that gay bars have the best bar names in the entire world.
It's like inappropriate, but like real good.
Oh my God. It's so good. What was the gay bar across from where we lived? Next to the Froyo place in Boston? Oh my God.
The Machine? Was it something like that?
Yeah, Machine.
Yeah. Machine.
Yeah. Oh, what a time.
Yeah. We went and got Froyo guys next to a gay bar a lot. I don't think we ever went in. I never went in.
Really? I went a couple times, yeah. But I think it
was,
I don't know if it was 18 or over. But yeah, I went a couple times. They used to have drag shows and stuff there too. Super fun.
Oh, that's cool. No, I wish I had gone.
It's okay. We'll go back.
I could just, you would just get those really nice, like, hey, how's it going? From the people outside who are waiting to get in. And you're like, I'm just going to get my cake batter frozen yogurt, please.
Oh my, the Froyo times.
Oh, the Froyo times.
I love Leslie's lines of the bulge is a gay bar. Like she didn't know. Ugh, the nights I've wasted there.
That line is so good.
I think that's my runner-up
nice.
of my favorite line, but it's not my favorite. So
it's so good. It's such a good line. Oh my gosh.
It is. Tom's wearing a shirt, but it's like not Lacoste this time. There's like a very purposeful orange coiled or green coiled snake instead of like a little alligator. So I'm very intrigued about that whole deal.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the happiness that comes over me when the bulge shirt is the same color as Tom's polo.
It's the exact same color.
It's the same exact color. Like she holds it up and she's like, yeah,
Yep.
Like, this is so good. This is my whole thing with this. Whether this whole thing was a political gesture or not, it's penguins. Why are we so... And I probably should have left this comment for when Marcia comes in, but I'm just pissed about it.
No, I get it.
And that's when I wrote this note down, was like before I had the shirt comment, is this. Like, why are we so worried about penguins? And like, if you asked her to come out and say, hey, like, I didn't know, like... Why was that such a big deal? Like, it did not have to be as big of a deal as it's being made. In my opinion.
Absolutely not. And I think that's what's so funny about it, / what kind of not only gives the joke its, depth, but it's kind of what we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, I feel, in politics. You know what I mean? It's just like, this does not matter. Why are you making it more than it is?
Right. Well, I mean, I think, and we're getting off the show a little bit, but I'm okay with it.
It's okay.
I think it's relevant. My mom and I talk about this a lot. And my mom and I do not see eye to eye all the time on political issues, which is fine. You know, we talk about it like adults and we love each other past the point, and it's fine. But she always brings this up to me, and I kind of agree that as a culture, we kind of things are laid out to us like, hey, this is wrong. And we're like, oh, shoot, you're right. Let's fix it. And then we fix it too much. Right? We overcorrect, and then we make it a bigger issue for ourselves. Yeah. Right? So the example, and this is so funny because I told my brother that my mom and I had talked about it the other night. He goes, oh, she used the blah, blah, blah example, right? And I was like, yeah, she did. Because that's like her go-to. But her go-to example is handicap parking. Right? So there didn't used to be a lot of handicap parking. And they were like, oh, shoot, like this is a problem. We need to make it so that people who are handicapped are closer to the building. Valid, right? That is a valid concern. The government should do something about that. But then my mom always uses the example, the Target in Peoria, Illinois, where we spent a lot of our time in the States, has like every single row, the first like 4 or 5 parking spots are handicapped. So now everyone else is like in the very back of the lot. And she's like, the likelihood of you having, and I mean, like, there's like 6 rows too. So she's like, the likelihood of you having 30 plus handicapped people here at one time is like illogical. Like, it's not going to happen. And so she's like, that's like her core example. But, you know, if you watch The Bachelor right now, that's something I'm having a problem with too, is like the overcorrecting with that too. like everybody just sort of, do you know the situation that's happening?
No, I'm not super familiar.
Okay.
I'll let's hear it though.
Okay. So one of the girls who's in like the finals, right? And a lot of people think the bachelor's going to choose her. Pictures came out of her going to like a sorority party in college at a plantation. So people are calling her racist. Now, my brother and I have had this conversation. You don't know her intent, right? We don't know the topic of the party. We don't know who, like, how she feels about it. Like, she probably was just given an invitation and showed up.
Yeah.
Right? So she's getting shamed for it. And then now she's getting bashed by everyone. And then Chris Harrison, the guy that's the host, he came out and said, hey, we don't know her side of it. We can't judge her. And then he got laid off from being the host. And it's like...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think it sounds like he might be able to come back. I'm not 100% clear.
Well, okay, I'll let you finish your story. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, if there was malicious intent there, I understand.
Yeah.
But we don't know both sides, and people are just automatically going to they're trying to overcorrect it, right? Like, we need to nip it in the bud before we know what happened. But now, like, her whole life is almost uprooted, as is Chris Harrison's, because nobody did the due diligence to see what was kind of going on behind the scenes before, like, overreacting to all of this. So
yeah. Well, number one, we need to cancel all events on plantations. That is no longer acceptable, nor should it ever have been acceptable, in my opinion. There should not be weddings at a fucking slave plantation. That's just not, like, acceptable. Number two, I think that, in my opinion, again, it's just, like, hollowed ground, and the shit that, like, it's like dancing on an Indian gravesite to me, I feel. Like, it's just not... It's not right. And number two, I feel like if it was me personally and I went to an event at a plantation and then it came out, I personally would apologize. I think just because obviously your intention was not bad, but you still hurt people. And I personally would be like, I truly did not mean any harm or like malintent here. And I'm really sorry that there was harm done. It's not about like, I'm sorry that you feel that way. That's like such a cocky ass motherfucking cop out. But so I personally think that, sure, we don't know her side, and I don't think that she would go to, I mean, hopefully I don't know her life, but I don't think that anyone goes to the graveside to go to a plantation to celebrate slavery. I'm sure that wasn't what it was. No. But there is still that shouldn't be a thing anymore. So like if you've had a wedding on a plantation, obviously it's not all your fault because you were sold that and you have, whatever, but it's not okay. And we should not have that be a thing anymore. Like the Andrew Jackson home here, the Hermitage, is like they still have events and weddings there. And it's so disrespectful. It's just like a true slap in the face to everyone who is in America right now. And especially like we just disrespect African Americans so fucking much. And it's like, we need to stop. We need to cancel it. That is canceled. I know cancel culture is like a lot of it is too far, but that needs to stop. So I'm sorry I'm on a soapbox, but that's not okay.
If I'm being honest,
I do think that like, obviously we need to hear her story.
Right. And that's the thing is like, I don't think she even had a chance to come out and say anything before she was being bashed. And I honestly have no idea if she's come out. I have very little snippets of the story just because the season isn't necessarily over yet and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, I just like, that was just my example of like, I understand where people are coming from and I agree with a lot of it, but like a lot of times we're just jumping too far ahead of the gun before we, and that's kind of how I feel about this penguin situation that Marsha Langman is so worried that gay people are going to be allowed to be married that she's like jumping to, we can't even let penguins be married when we didn't know that they were two guy penguins and like, who's going to care anyway. Right.
So and like her line of it ruins it for the rest of us. Oh my God. That makes my blood boil. Like, fuck
Holly.
You. So dumb.
There's some things I get so mad about. And this is one of them. Like the fact that it took us all so long and I have a lot of emotions about it.
Yeah.
About this
Well,
situation.
okay, I think we should talk about Marsha Langman for a brief moment. But before we get there, I just wanted to let everyone know I time-stamped it at 5:35, 5 minutes 35 seconds. There is a different owl behind her desk. There was an owl that was the same little trinket throughout the whole first season. Now there's a different one. So just FYI, if anyone else caught that.
That's an amazing catch. Nice.
Second thing is that I thought it was really interesting that she was so excited about Donna. Like, she was so excited about Donna's, interaction. You gonna turn someone tonight. That was her best interaction with her. I love that. So I didn't realize, I thought that they had already kind of like had that relationship, but I guess I didn't realize until this episode that, they are building that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I love that with Donna, and we're kind of getting to see who Donna actually is, right? Because we pointed it out in season 1 a couple times, like, whoa, that's not the Donna we know. But this is this line is 100% like the Donna we know, like that, telling her she looks fabulous. And
yeah, and there's a deleted scene where Donna has a talking head actually that says, "I turned my first husband. He used to be a priest."
Oh my gosh.
What a Donna line, right?
Oh, yes. That.
So
I love
good.
That so much.
But then we get to Marsha. So first Marsha alert. We don't have Marshall with her yet. That comes later.
Right.
But this lady is named Darlene Hunt. She is a producer on a lot of shows, including Dickinson, which is a Haley Steinfeld show. If you guys don't know who Haley Steinfeld is, look her up immediately, because I stan Haley Steinfeld and I love all of her. Like, literally all of my friends have heard the song Love Myself because of me.
Yeah.
And they only listen to it when I'm around because I put it on the rotation of music. So that's a thing. But she seems to be famous for something called The Big C, which I have not watched before. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't. I had it written down, but I also don't know what it is.
Yeah, but I thought that she was so good. I love that they bring her back because she is definitely a relatable character in the sense that you can relate to having someone like that either in your town or that you've seen on the news or whatever. Yeah. She was the perfect embodiment of the Karens. It was so beautiful, especially when she asks about directions, like after she threatens to ask for her resignation publicly. Yeah. Oh my God. And I love how she played this where she's like almost passive aggressive, but like it's like such a fine line where she's like, annul the wedding as she smiles. Oh my God. It's so creepy and gross. Side note, you guys have to watch this show on Netflix also called Death to 2020. It's this comedy sketch parody thing. Sammy Jackson is in it. So you got to watch it. And the reason I say that is because there is a Karen in there. The gal who played the lead girl in Once the Musical / I think she was the mom in How I Met Your Mother is in it, and she plays a Karen, and she is phenomenal. It's so good.
Yeah, she's so good in that.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good one. Leslie Jones from SNL is also in it.
Yes, exactly. It's so good. But yeah, I loved this casting. I think that it was really good. I think that we needed a character like this to kind of see that other side of the extremes, I feel. But also I think it's really important for her to be there because Leslie didn't know that they were two male penguins. I think that is something that is kind of going by the wayside. And it also sparks the conversation of, would it have mattered if they were two male penguins? Like, would we still have gone through with it? Because they clearly, like, from what we can see as humans, they love each other, or it looks like that from our side of, like, the spectator at the zoo. So, like, would it have mattered? So I think that it just sparks so much.
Yeah, I agree. I just had another quick note that Darlene Hunt also was a writer on 90210, The Goldbergs, and Roseanne.
Whoa, okay, nice.
I was not 100% sure. The 90210, that was around in our generation, not our parents' generation.
Right. The newer one.
The Roseanne, I was not sure if it was the original one or the one that kind of got rebooted real quick before Roseanne did another thing.
Yeah.
Right,
I don't know
either.
Say?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all you need to say.
I wanted to backtrack really fast because we did skip a couple guest stars that I'd like to go back to. Because Leslie runs into April and this very weird ass triangle of gay, bisexual, heterosexual situation with April and Derek and Ben. So we have Derek, who is April's actual boyfriend, who's gay for Ben but straight for April.
Right.
And he is played by Blake Lee. I didn't find too much with him, but he has been in a couple episodes of Mixology and Friends with Benefits.
Okay.
Friends with Benefits is also a movie, so don't get it confused with that. It's the TV show. And then Ben, who is Derek's gay boyfriend, and April hates him.
Right.
He was in Ted, the movie, and I was like, I'm going to have to go rewatch that. And then I realized he was guy number 1, so maybe not.
Okay, got it. We might not recognize him.
Yeah. He's in some Conan, like, sketches, it looks like. Modern Family, an episode or 2, and then Bones, an episode or 2.
Cool.
So, yeah, just a little bit about them. But I love this entire interaction because they've created this poster for her, right? They're inviting her to the Bulge tonight for, and to celebrate her in her honor. And they've made this poster that, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't live here when this was happening. I lived overseas, but it looks exactly to me like the poster for Obama.
Yeah, that's what it was meant to be.
That's what it's modeled off.
Because his had hope at the bottom and hers has nope.
Yes. Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
And famous artist who is worth mentioning. Oh my gosh, I forgot the name. I should have written this down.
Do you know if it's someone Obama hired or if it was somebody that made something and Obama was like, that's cool, I want it?
I don't know. Okay, so their name is Shepard Fairey.
Okay.
And they're famous for quite a few things. Obviously, Hope was the main thing, like the main pop art situation. But yeah, like they've done a lot of political activism and political like artwork. So yeah, I don't know how. I think they just made it. I'm not really sure how that came up. I'll have to put that in my recap for next week.
Awesome. I also love this interaction when Leslie says, "Who made this?" And they're like, "We did." She's like, "How?" "Photoshop." "What?" "A computer." "Oh."
Right, she doesn't know what Photoshop is.
The way they all acted it was so genuine and authentic.
I know.
I thought it was beautifully done.
What a change to see April excited to see Leslie too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is a complete change in April, right? But just the fact that sometimes they're talking over each other makes it seem like it wasn't rehearsed. This is like them actually interacting with her, which I really liked that touch for sure. Kansas to climb mountains is my next note. She expresses, so Anne has her own talking head, right, where she says, well, Andy, when he left, he said he was going to Kansas to climb mountains.
Right, okay.
And then she explains that Mark was taken to her hospital when he fell into the pit. And then we get those really nice back shots, right, of her there when he's in PT and, making fun of that guy who has that back tattoo, right? So some really cute little moments between the two of them, which, it looks really natural. And you're like, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. I totally forgot that he went to physical therapy for falling in the pit.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's ever said. I just know what a PT room looks like in a hospital.
Yeah.
And
No, totally. Sure I totally knew what it was. I just was like, what the hell? I forgot that he did that.
And I was almost wondering for a second, I was like, was that added in later?
Yeah, who knows?
I was like, I wonder if I even remember that in like the first couple times I watched this.
Yeah.
But this leads us to Anne walking out to Mark and saying, and this whole thing doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Right. So she walks out to Mark and she's like, well, I came to eat with Leslie, but she works. So,
right.
Kind of giving a jab to Mark, who's sitting outside reading the newspaper. And then they have, like a little conversation, and that's where he asks if she wants to go to the movie, the documentary about food.
Yeah, so weird. I have that in my notes, documentary about food, ? Very strange.
Yeah. I'm like huge into documentaries. I love them, but like, first of all, to see in a movie theater, it's something I much rather would watch at home with like a cup of tea on a Sunday night is kind of what a documentary is to me. Not like a date in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's first of all,
I think he was just being
weird.
awkward, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. But then Anne still eats with Leslie. And that's where you lose me a little bit. Because I'm like, okay, but you just said you couldn't eat with Leslie because she was working.
Yeah.
But now you guys are eating together.
Yeah, I guess she like had this interaction with him, and then she was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go wait for Leslie in her office or something.
Right. She's like, I'm not waiting out here anymore. That's fair. I can see that happening. Like Leslie was in a meeting or something and she was waiting patiently. Okay. I can see that. Then she's like, I need to talk to you. I want to always be honest with you. And I love that Leslie's like, we should create a secret language.
I know.
And literally every time I watch it now, I'm like, Holly and I should create a secret
I have that in my notes where I was like, this scene, everything about it gave me such a visceral, physical connection to Leslie and Anne and you and I. I swear.
Yeah.
Because I literally
100%.
also said, this is not that like 2020 use of literally, but I literally used those words of your friendship is the most important thing last week. So I was like, what is happening?
No, this whole episode I think is like a complete embodiment of us. Not that we've ever been in some of these situations, but like I know it's who we are. So I just I love this episode for us and for Anne and Leslie so much. And you know, Anne, the thing I love about Anne, right, is because I don't think she is as gung-ho about creating a secret language as Leslie is, obviously. But she's like, yeah, we can totally do that, but like I'm gonna speak to you in English.
Right. I love that. I know. She doesn't shut it down.
So
it's so cute.
Right. And she's very open with Leslie, right? Like, I know you have a history with Mark, and he asked me out, and I said no, because nothing is more important, right? Like you're saying, than our friendship. And I was just like, Anne didn't wait a split second to tell Leslie. She told her, like, literally probably 10 minutes after Mark asked her out, which is just so cool and such best friend material. So I love it so much.
I do too. There was also a deleted scene here where Leslie and Anne are talking about the Mark and Anne thing, but also they're talking about the whole penguin situation. And Anne says in this deleted scene, well, as a taxpayer, it is kind of weird that you use taxpayer money to marry two penguins in the first place, like even if they were male and a female. But that line kind of got me thinking, and I was thinking it before, but especially when Anne just outright says it, I was like, shit, how much taxpayer money did she like use? I mean, fuck.
Right.
Like, did I get a whole paycheck taken out or something in my taxes to marry these penguins? Because I just don't think that that's what happened, you know? I don't know.
Well, they bring something up about that on Pawnee today as well.
Yeah, they continually say, and that's one of Marsha's things too, where she's like, you use the taxpayer money to make a political statement. And I'm like, how much fucking money do you think that this costed? I just don't think that it costed that much money.
No, I agree.
Anyway, then they had this cute moment in the deleted scene where they show Leslie helping, Anne. Yeah, no. Leslie helps Anne feng shui and sage her house after Andy moves out. And they like move all the furniture and all the shit. She lights candles. Leslie's wearing this like shaman robe thing. It was very precious. And then Anne has a talking head where she's like, you know, I eventually moved everything back to where it was, but it was very nice.
We would do that.
100%. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I also, though, for those of you that have seen episodes in the future, I don't know if I would trust Leslie with my house.
I know, right?
Why are you letting her touch stuff?
Well, I'm at the bulge now.
I am as well, and this line is probably my runner-up.
Okay.
So Leslie's like, I can't believe I never could tell this was a gay bar, right? Yeah. And Tom says, especially with that heterosexual cowboy greeting us on the way in. And it's that picture of the guy with his shirt like all the way open, and then he's like tilting his cowboy hat in like the most sexual pose.
Oh my
it's
God.
So great.
So funny.
And it's hard to catch that line because he says it like as they're walking in, and the bar's really loud. I think it was just kind of a one-off side line, but it's so good.
Yeah. Oh my God. So good. And here we are again with April is happy to see Leslie. And it's just like so weird because she like literally runs up to her and it's like, oh wow. Also these background actors at the bulge, y'all, shout out to them. Yeah. They were great. They're so excited to see her. They're dancing, having a great time. Oh, so fun.
Yeah, they've got the energy for sure for
Yes.
this scene. It's wonderful.
April has this line also. She's Leslie Knope and she wants to recruit you. And that is a line that was inspired by Harvey Milk, which is from that movie Milk. Or not from that movie Milk. Obviously, it's the opposite. But basically, Harvey Milk was the first openly gay elected official in California. He was on the board of supervisors, which I still haven't seen that movie. Don't hate me. But I have it on my list. So eventually
It's
I
Matt
will.
Damon, right?
Sean Penn, I think.
Oh, you're right. There's another one that has a very similar cover. That's Matt Damon.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Because it's like his hand is up in the air and yeah.
Yeah. Tom makes this comment too, which I wanted to ask your opinion on this because, Leslie was like, "What bar am I going to go to now?" And he's like, "Well, there's pitchers and catchers," and I was like, "Oh, he's being nice." And then I was like, "I wonder if that's also a gay bar."
I know. Interesting. I didn't think about it that way. I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just like a sports bar.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Like a really manly man's like
Right.
no manners type situation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just some beer and booze and football.
Yep.
Which,
There you
speaking
go.
of football, I felt like this kind of seemed like a cheap joke where she's like, thank you for coming out to support, like, especially on a night with the Colts are playing. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like they could have been more clever with that, but I understand why they did it at the same time because obviously no one watches, like, not a ton of, I guess that's like a stereotype of not watching sports when you're gay, but I'm I don't know.
That was going to be my thought, right? I think it's a funny line. I think it's funny, and I think it's placed correctly for people who don't know a bunch of homosexual people. Because
Right.
I know that there are a lot of gay people out there that do watch sports. And there's a lot of non-gay people that don't watch sports.
Right.
But I think it was meant to kind of, I think it did what it was
it
supposed
totally
to
did.
do. But I agree with you. I had a comment about that as well. I was like, also, my question is, how is April there? She's a minor.
I know. I'm thinking that it's because a lot of gay bars are 18 and over.
Are they really? Okay.
Yeah, at least in my experience, not that I'm an expert, but I'm pretty positive that, like, you're allowed in. But also, we learned in a deleted scene, now I don't know if they went this far, but we did learn in a deleted scene from the boys club that she has a fake ID. So
You're right.
if she wanted to get in, she probably could, but I don't know what age they're portraying her to be. I think she's 18 because she had graduated high school or whatever. But
I think she's 20 because when she and Andy, she might be 19 because when she and Andy are talking, she's 20.
She's 20. Yeah.
And she's like close to being 21.
Okay.
But it's like not, like she's not 21 yet when she and Andy start talking. Yeah, because I was just thinking about that too. For some reason I was thinking she and her boyfriends were still in high school, and I'm like, I don't like, because her boyfriends could be older too.
Yeah.
They could have their own IDs and whatnot. Oh well.
I love that she's so entranced by them chanting her name. Like, she just wants acceptance so much. She's trying so hard to fight it, and then she's like, "You're saying my name."
Yeah. Like I connected this back almost to the public forum, right?
Absolutely.
When she, I don't know. Like, we talked about this. Like, we didn't know she had complete intent to support Anne's park or her pit situation, right? But everybody's clapping for Anne, and she's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna jump on this," right?
Absolutely.
So then we have the same situation here where she's like, "I'm gonna jump on this." Like, people are shouting my name in a town where she's not really appreciated, and we see that throughout the series, unfortunately. She's being recognized in a positive light. So I think she totally gives into that. So, and I love that she invites Anne. I would do the same thing.
Yeah, so cute.
I would be
so cute. Anne has that line, "I'm really sober."
Yeah, I love that line so much.
Also, is this our first drunk Leslie? Because I know we saw it a
think
bit when
so.
she was drinking champagne in the first episode when they were cheersing to the park and everything. Like, or not the park. Well, technically the park, the committee. But I think this is our first, like, wasty Leslie.
I think so too. And I love this at 12 minutes 24 seconds. That's when Leslie goes into the camera and does the boom boom, right?
Oh, right.
But it's weird because it looks like April's like upset with her and trying to get her to calm down or something. If you go back, It's
I
really
need to go
interesting.
back. I didn't notice that. Okay.
I'm like wondering what the situation was. Like, obviously they probably just got some good footage of Leslie and they were like, we're going to use it. And they had to use enough of it to like fit the music that she was doing at that time.
Interesting.
Yeah. So go back.
Maybe she's getting annoyed with Leslie.
She could be. She's like, I've tried for so long to just be happy about her being here.
And then the way Leslie says dancing, she's like dancing. I wrote that down. So funny to me.
And the dancing.
right,
So
exactly.
good.
The dance. It's so funny.
So good.
I have a favorite line moment coming up afterwards, but sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this music.
Oh my god, it's so good, right?
Yeah, I don't know if
It's
I
so
realized how
fun.
old I was until I listened to this, and I was like, this was the music coming out in 2009. I was in ninth grade in 2009. And
Poker
these
Face.
were
Good
my
times.
jams. Yes, they were. Yeah, it's good stuff. I will say that that's not I Got a Feeling. No, the Boom Boom song is not I Got a Feeling.
Oh, I don't think so. It's another Black Eyed Peas, that one. The Boom Boom Pow one. Boom Boom Pow.
Yeah, that one I like. The I Got a Feeling one, my brother and I, we came home to the States for the summer, for like a month in the summer. And I think it had just been dropped as like a summer hit type situation. And the first like 5 times we heard it, I was like, this is so good. We were like so excited about this song. And then by the time we went back overseas, we were like, I want to hurt myself when this song comes on, because it was just so overplayed. But I do like a lot of Black Eyed Peas songs, so yeah. I also love her line that everyone's so gay, like everyone is just who they are, and who they are is that you're. I'm gonna stop.
No, I love it. You're saying it so well.
Okay.
No, keep going.
Okay. Everyone is just who they are, and who they are is just stone cold gay.
Yes, massive applause for that. No, that is literally that's my favorite line, I think.
It's
Just
a
to
good
hear you
line.
say it solidified that it is.
Oh, good. I'm glad I could play a role and I wasn't like stealing it. I'm sorry.
No, I love that line. And honestly, it's like probably the easiest line to be my favorite because I feel like everyone's going to love that line. But I just like, it's just acceptance. It's beauty. It's inner goddess moments. I love it.
Yeah, it's perfect. I love it too. I also just love when she calls herself Queen of the Gays. If you're done at the bar, I'm ready to go back to the
I love
to
that.
City Hall. You know, she's doing the my poker face, my poker face,
All
like
morning.
at her, all morning. And Ron comes in, right, and she's like, "I'm Queen of the Gays. Ben and Derek are gonna help me figure out what my actual bra size is." Which,
Yes.
yay.
Good for her.
Yep. I don't know if men know this or some women, but sometimes we go out and buy bras before we actually know what we're doing.
Absolutely.
I'm
yes,
guilty.
I am. No, like no one really teaches you how to actually find your bra size. And bra sizing is so crazy and weird and wild. Also, I do love Third Love. I really like it. It's a bra company, and they have a little bit more, I feel, of a like an inclusivity, I feel. Meaning that it's not just about your band size and your cup size. It's like about the shape of your breast and like about how they hang and like what you want from a bra and like all that kind of stuff. So I really am in support of them. But I feel like there's a lot of companies out there that are really trying to help women like get their right size. So good for her. Really proud of this. But this also sparked. Did Ben and Derek also help Leslie change her outfits in addition to Anne helping her going shopping as a backstory?
Oh, Holly. Yes. Oh, I love this. I did not even put that in my brain, and I'm so excited
I totally thought about
it.
I was like, as her world is expanding outside of this like City Hall thing, I totally had a vision of like them all going shopping together.
I'm in love with that, and I love it.
Right.
And I'm so excited.
And then she starts to get more confidence, not only in her personality but in her outfit. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm in agreement of that happening. That being a thing. That is definitely part of the backstory now in my head.
Yay! Well, and there's also a deleted scene where Ron asks if, like, after she says the bra size thing, Ron is like, "Are you wearing the wrong bra size right now, and she like not lustfully, oh my god, I'm projecting, I want them to like have a little moment, no, but she like mournfully, like wistfully is the word I was looking for, like looks to the side and is like, every woman is.
That's amazing.
I was like, preach, girl.
Yeah, amen.
There's also a deleted scene of Tom and April prepping Leslie, and like they won't let her speak. Like Tom is playing Marcia and April is playing Joan, because they talk about I guess I'm briefly skipping ahead of like after they find out that she's going to be on Pawnee today or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, this dynamic between Tom and April. We had never seen before, and I very rarely see it until like the later seasons when you learn that Tom and April are kind of like buds. But like it was really fascinating, and it's very reminiscent of the scene where Tom is trying to prep Leslie for the the hearing that she has for drinking the wine and cheese during the boys club or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it was really interesting to see that chemistry between Tom and April. But it was deleted, so go back and watch it if you've got the DVDs.
I need to watch it because I would love to see that. I would love to see them prepping. And that leads to my very exciting announcement that we have our first Pawnee today.
Yes! Joan Calamezzo!
Yes, and I have some info on her.
Oh, I'm so ready. Joni.
Yes. Oh my gosh, though, I have thoughts about that as well. We have Mo Collins is her name. She has been a voice on Family Guy. She was in Seventh Heaven, not as a major role, to my understanding. I think it was a brief moment. Modern Family, brief moment. Fresh Off the Boat, brief moment. She played a doctor in Knocked Up, if you like Judd Apatow. 40-Year-Old Virgin also had a role. Dirty Grandpa. And then she was in this thing called Mad TV. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, Mad TV is basically SNL.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, so Mad TV, a lot of people, it's controversy because Mad TV wasn't as popular as SNL, but it was another sketch comedy show. It was so good. I thought it was anyway. There's a lot of people, or a lot of sketches that come out of that. You know that thing, the back of your head is ridiculous?
Oh,
That's from Mad TV.
Oh, so good.
Or like Stuart, who's like this adult, but he acts like a baby, and he's like in underwear. It's so funny. A lot of things come from Mad TV that like lots of sketches and characters. So I'm not surprised that she was on that. But back to really quickly adding to the 40-Year-Old Virgin. So have you seen that movie? I'm sure you have, right?
Oh, Holly. Yes, I have. And sorry, Dad. My boyfriend was visiting Illinois with me, and we were with my brother and my dad. And we were all like, me, my brother, and Ivan, my boyfriend, were like, oh, we've never seen 40-Year-Old Virgin. And my
I don't
dad
like
was
where this is going.
Yeah. My dad was like, oh, you've never seen 40-Year-Old Virgin? And he was like, oh, I have it on DVD. So he got it out. I was like, this is appropriate, right? And he's
Wait,
like,
he suggested it?
My father, yes.
Dad!
So this is, and I love you, Dad, but sometimes my dad forgets scenes in movies sometimes. I don't know if it just goes over his head or what, but this has happened before.
God. But the whole movie is awkward with your father.
Yeah, it was a moment, Holly. It was a moment. And
oh my
now my
God.
boyfriend is like, every time we're like 40-Year-Old Virgin, he's like, we watched that with your dad. Yeah.
So, oh my God, but it's like scarred him.
Yeah. So, but it's funny
so
because
funny.
like that was my childhood. Like there'd be a movie put on and my mom would come in and go like,
what are you doing?
What? The kids can't watch this? And he's like, why? And she's like, there's that scene. And he's like, oh, I forgot about that scene.
Oh my God, that is so funny. Well, oh my gosh. So basically, for the listener, if you've seen that movie, but it's been a minute, there's a scene where Steve Carell's character goes, which by the way, Steve Carell wrote 40-Year-Old Virgin, for those of you who did not even know that, which is wild to think about. But anyway, there's a scene where he goes speed dating, and this girl has her name tag on, and he's like, oh, so your name's Gina? And she's like, Gina, actually. And that's Joan Calamezzo.
I forgot that was a line.
Like, you're supposed to pronounce her name like Gina, and she plays this like badass motorcycle riding, like leather jacket wearing like lesbian, where basically she's like, it's been a minute since I've been with a dude, but like, you know, I'll give it a shot again or whatever. And she's so different, Maddie. Like, if you watch it, like, there's a clip on YouTube of her particular scene. And I was like, oh, my God. She's so good at being a different character. She's just completely almost unrecognizable. It's wild. But she was so good.
I watched that movie with my dad.
That's all you can think about.
When you say Gina, I was like, how did we all react to that situation?
Oh my God, that is too crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Anyway, but yeah, so now we're at the studio. It's so funny that camera guy is like falling asleep, and she's thinking it's one of those things again, you know, where she thought the banquet was a huge deal, but it's really not. Tom and Joan are gross. Yeah,
I was about to say we are introduced to the grossness that is Tom and Joan together, and it happens throughout the series. So we'll see plenty more of this, but it's disgusting.
I didn't realize she had kids either. I don't think I knew that from later episodes. Like, they don't really talk about it.
I think it is brought up later, to my understanding.
Because I know she gets divorced, obviously, because that's when she gets all, like, hot and heavy with Tom. But, yeah, there was a deleted talking head where Tom says that he'd totally have sex with Joan in a heartbeat. So that's fun to know. And then also... Oh, right. Yes. I didn't even think about that.
And we don't even know that it's a fake marriage yet.
Oh, my God. Gnarly.
So he's still just sleazeball.
Yeah, and then he says that he would sleep with Marcia, too. I was like, ew. You have no standards, sir. So I'm glad they cut that.
Yeah, I'm glad they cut that, too, because, like, it's nothing against Marcia or her appearance. It's like, you saw how she was with Leslie. For serious? Come on, man.
Also, what exactly, I'm sure this is the point to be a little bit confusing, but Society for Family Stability Foundation. What the fuck does that even do? Like, what?
Yeah. You're right. I have no idea.
So dumb. It's so
Society
dumb.
for Family Stability Foundation.
I think that is also just the bias thing of like, well, what is family stability to you? You know?
Right. It's going to look different for everybody. Now, I would equate it to similarly like kind of the work that, like community work, like providing resources to a family who might not, you know, maybe dad just lost his job. How can we help him find a new job? That's kind of what I would picture it to be.
Right.
You know, not like, let's go hound this woman because she married 2 male penguins.
Right, exactly. So I guess it's family stability for everybody is what they're, I don't know, in their idea.
But that's what my stability is, right? That's what I, like, do you have the needs that you need to take care of your family? That's what it is to me, but to her
absolutely.
And other people it might sound like, are they upholding the morals
of
what we think is right?
She says in this interview, I just had a quick note. It's very weird. I don't know if you caught this, but basically she says, like, what else can I do to please you? Like, and she's listing all of these things, like, that are super, you know, dramatic and things. And she says, Harry Carey, which is, like, how that's not actually how it's pronounced, apparently. But that was, like, kind of a joke of saying, like, I don't know how to pronounce this. I looked up what it is. Do you know what this is?
No, the only Harry Carey I know, if I'm remembering the name correctly off the top of my head at the end of a very long day, is the reporter for the Chicago Cubs.
Yes, there is a fellow named this as well. But I think the way that it's supposed to be pronounced is Harikari. It's a Japanese term. How would you pronounce that? Harik. Yeah, Hari. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway. Okay, get ready for this. It's kind of weird, awful. Just take a deep breath. Trigger warning, but maybe I'll put this at the beginning. If you need to skip about cutting open things, skip ahead. Yeah. Like 30 seconds.
Any suicidal ideation trauma that you have.
So it's a Japanese ritual of suicide for samurais by disembowelment, meaning that they cut their bellies open and then they bleed, their intestines and stuff bleed out. And it was originally reserved for samurais in like as a code of honor, and it was also practiced by other Japanese people during the Showa period, like particularly near the end of World War II. But it was like to restore honor for themselves or their families, because that means that they would rather like kill themselves than to fall into the hands of an enemy, or it was used to punish samurais who like broke their code or like who had committed serious offenses. And to top it all off, here's the real thing, not really, it's all awful, but it was usually done in front of spectators. Like it was like a gladiators situation. And I was like, what the fuck?
What the hell?
That is what
that's so bad, Holly. I'm like so mad about it right now. I'm like over here like, Harry Carey, we love him. He has his big glasses and he was a big commentator for so long and all of Chicago loves him. But no, we're talking about suicide. Like she's legit like being like, hey, you should kill yourself for what you've done.
Well, so no,
wow.
That's like that was like what Leslie was saying. She was like, what else do you want me to do? Like, do you want me to perform Hari Kari? Or Bill, she says Harry Carey. Okay. But like
I thought Marcia said it for a second.
No, Marcia was not saying to do this. Oh my God.
Thank the Lord Jesus. Okay. I was like, okay.
Too much.
You stepped the line.
But no, this is where Leslie starts kind of going off the rails and she's like getting really worked up and she's like, what else can I possibly do? This isn't that big of a deal. Do you want me to kill myself? Essentially is what she's saying. But wow. She gets so angry and wow. Just wow. So that's your little history lesson of the Japanese culture.
It's fine. We'll recover.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're now going to when she's taking phone calls from the listeners. The same guy who said that he wanted to basically do it with a guinea pig, by the way, has a deleted scene. I could recognize his voice. He had a deleted line of like, you work with animals, right? Like, what is it about cats that makes them think they are so much goddamn better than the rest of us?
If that's not the most accurate representation of a cat that I've ever heard in my life.
It's so funny because they must have just had a bunch of lines that were, because they did have a bunch of lines that were cut. So I'm thinking this is like one of their improv moments or where they just had a bunch of shit. They wanted to see what worked best and then they picked which lines worked. It's so funny. And then she gets even worked up. She gets more worked up and she says like, go fuck yourself to a caller. Like that whole scene was way longer.
Damn.
And they like, obviously they bleep out fuck, but I was like, oh my God. Anyway, so yeah, so they think that she should resign, which I think is really silly.
Yeah, it's dumb to me. Oh my gosh, there's this zoomed out scene so that you can see Marcia, Joan, and Leslie. And you look down and Marcia has these like black flats like looking things on, and she has socks on with them.
Yes, I noticed that.
Okay, I'm really glad you caught that too.
Yes, I did. Very Karen so costume situation happening. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, very Karen. You're like almost like the too uppity religious type of like. If you wear socks with things, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying it fits her stereotype that they're trying to dress right now.
I'm now at Anne's house where we have Andy come back
in a suit
that costed $3,000 apparently.
Those of you who have seen Chris Pratt outside of Parks and Recreation, he can wear a suit. Like, damn.
He is fine.
He is fine upon fine. Yeah, he's great. But I don't know if it's like the hair that they have it like all smoothed down. He just
he looks greasy.
Yeah, and or even just that he's in his Andy character that you look at him and you're like, you're not supposed to be wearing a suit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's not a Chris Pratt thing. It's like, this is your character. They have your hair a certain way and you're playing off Andy in a good enough way that we're like, you're not dressed like that. That's not right. But I love that we follow him down to the pit.
Oh my God. This documentary shot is so funny, and like his ass is just the shine as he's climbing back into the tent. It's so funny.
And I love that the camera work, like, right, they're walking and you can visibly tell they're following him, right? It's not like a really smooth transition. It's like you can tell the cameraman's walking. I like that too. He
does have a very cute little plea though, like with Anne. It's very precious. He's learned all these words like behoove and mature.
Mature. Why would we say mature like that is my question. Maturing.
Oh my God.
He's
there is a
trying.
whole, I know, he is so precious trying. Ugh. There is a whole deleted scene where Andy is giving the film crew a tour of the pit, and there is like, and by tour, like you can imagine what I say when I say like it's a dirt pit. So right. There's an office because there is like an old desk.
Mhm.
There's a lounge chair, and there's the master bedroom, which is his tent.
Mhm.
And it just keeps it's so funny. They have so many deleted scenes of him talking about how hungry he is. Like, he talks about how Anne smelled so good, and then he starts listing off all of the things that she smells like.
Oh my gosh.
And then he talks about how he learned that and if you didn't catch that, that means that he was listing off like pancakes and like bread and all these foods that he was hungry for.
Nice.
And then he says that he learned that you can eat some foods raw, like carrots and chicken. And then he was like, but the carrots probably made me sick because I kept puking up chicken last night.
Gross.
Oh man,
That's so
I just wish
gross.
that they had kept all that, but I know they couldn't.
Oh, I'm a big chicken eater. I like chicken.
Mhm.
Like, and it's a healthier one of the meats. But I can't stand the smell of it, like, when it's raw, and I can't stand the smell of it, like, when it's cooking. Like, I have to shred chicken at the restaurant sometimes, and I can't stand the smell. Like, I can eat it, but the smell is just, like, I don't know what it is for me. But, yeah, so the idea of even getting a raw piece of chicken anywhere close to my face is so gross.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, Andy.
Gross.
I just love that line where he says, the hardest part about living in the pit is keeping my suit pressed.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Right.
I love that.
My God.
Also, do we think it's creepy that he's living in the pit and he's like, well, I just have to protect her? When, like, obviously I think she can take care of herself.
Yeah. And no, it is creepy because you can, like, constantly look at her and stalk her, essentially.
Yeah, I think it's unhealthy. But yeah, we take this big flash to Pawnee today now. Right. And it has escalated since we've last been there. And I love this line that Leslie's yelling that she's the reason that the zoo attendance has gone up 30%, which agreed, right? She always is working really hard. But I'm also like, I don't think these people are going to calculate that 30% the way that you're trying to get them to understand. Like, I think it's great. But telling Marshall Langman that you've up to the attendance 30% is going to mean jack shit to her, which is sucky, but it's true. So.
Yep. So true. Ugh.
But there's this graffiti at the zoo now when she goes to pick up the penguins.
Brilliant in writing. It hurts my heart.
Yeah. But I think it's
so dumb.
It's something taken from real life because I've seen it before.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean,
absolutely. That's such a religious thing to say.
Yeah. It's very well, like you're saying, written, right? They took from real life and they put it in the show, but it is sucky that it's they say Flipper and Eve, not Flipper and Steve. Right. And that's that's just frustrating. I mean, I
super dumb.
I mean, and Holly, correct me if I'm wrong, but Holly and I are believe in God, and you know, we have a we have a faith. And, you know, I think this is where I have a lot of issue with it because a lot of the people that are outwardly spoken against gays are Christians or, you know, and they're
or claiming to be.
Right. And I have a really big issue with this. And I've talked to my dad a lot about it because he wanted to understand where I was coming from. And I really appreciated that he wanted to understand because he grew up in this really tiny ass logging town in the middle of Oregon where like 500 people lived. And so he had this very like box, I think, way of how he was kind of raised, but he's like super open-minded to hearing like what thoughts there are out there now. And I kind of just explained to him like my relationship with God is my relationship with God. It's not for anyone else to touch because no one else knows my relationship with God the way that I know my relationship with God. And so who am I to tell anybody that they can't have a relationship with God or that they're not willing or worthy of love? That's not my job. But I under no circumstances do I believe that it is my job to hate people. So I think I want people to be able to live happy, loving lives, and I don't care who they do it with because it's not my job to tell them who to do it with.
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to take everything literally, like, do you want to like stone whores still, or like, I mean, I just don't get it. Also, like, the penguins seem to be enjoying the sex, so I really don't see what the big fucking deal is. Okay, it's consensual. They're married, and like, listen, you gotta pick a lane.
Yeah, that was so good. That was so good. I also just the way you said that reminds me of Nate in The Office when like Ryan is asking if Kelly should really be with Ravi, and Nate comes out of nowhere and he's like, just knowing you, Ryan, this very short amount of time, the penguins seem to be enjoying the sex.
I just like, listen.
It seems consensual. So, I'm about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's most important.
Before we get to the closing,
yes,
the tag, we go back to this beauty of what we call the Anne and Leslie relationship.
So precious.
My heart.
It was so sweet.
It's just it's so beautiful, right? And I mean, I think it's Leslie being like, hey, this guy didn't actually, I spent a long time on this guy, and if he could make my best friend happy, I'm going to step aside. And it's just like, and she's saying this is where we get to the, like, I don't think Maddie and Holly would do this part, but this part where we're like, I just want you to be happy. Like, and you don't have to go out with him, but don't do it because you think it's going to bother me, because I'm not going to hold you back.
Right. That is the best line, I think. That's like the core reason I think that this is so beautiful. 'Cause she's like, don't do it because of me. Or don't not do it because of me. You know?
And I think we would both be the same way in any aspect of our lives, regardless of what the topic was. The thing that I don't think we would do is set up the date for the other person.
Right. And call Mark and say she's dying to go out with him. Oh my God.
Because I just think...
Too far.
I don't know. I don't know if we're just different than Anne as a person, but I just think...
Well, it's a heightened reality,
well yeah, it's true. Yeah, I just don't think we would make that choice for the other person. But... I just love that whole interaction.
I do too. So. I just think that's really the beauty of the of communication, because like we were talking about this too, where it's like you don't know how that other person, or like Leslie didn't know that Mark had asked out Anne. So like how is Anne supposed to know if she's like not okay with it or is okay with it, So like that's what's so hard at the beginning part of communication. But like my favorite thing about talking is like, oh shit, I didn't even know that one thing that is holding me back from like being a better friend or being happier. Like I didn't know that. So how are we supposed to move past it if you don't even know that it's a thing? So I really like that a lot. I think that was really wonderfully depicted. Also, speaking of which, I can't believe I haven't mentioned it already, but today is International Women's Day. Yes. Shout out. So I thought that was Happy a perfect time to mention that because of their relationship and our relationship and strong female people everywhere. But yeah.
We are dependent on no one.
Yeah, and I just love that there's a support system happening. So every day is International Women's Day, but it's nice that we have a day for it.
It's true. I watch Premier League soccer. And more so when my brother moved in, because I like forgot that we had access to watching the sport. But they did a really nice depiction for international, because I guess they're calling the entire month Women's Month. But they did this whole montage yesterday when we were watching all the games of like all these soccer players speaking out on the women that have impacted their lives. And a lot of them, it was really sweet. Like, oh, my sister has been like a huge support system in my life, or my mom, or my wife stays home with the kids so that I can do this. And, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
So I also have to mention that I feel like Holly and I had really good communication coming into this podcast relationship. I think we were really solid friends. We did a really good job keeping in touch, but I think this podcast has helped us. I've learned more about myself.
Yeah.
And I've learned more about you, but I think we've also learned how to better communicate. And I think that's been a beautiful thing, because I thought we communicated well before, but I think we've just taken another step of like, just being upfront, kind of like Anne and Leslie are.
Right. And there's just so many different layers of it. Like there's so many different roles that you are playing in relationships, like especially when you have two different like I guess not brands, but two different like pockets of relationships. You've got either like your best friend might also be your lover, or your like partner in business can also be your best friend, or whatever. So like, combining those two things is really interesting to me. And I think that is something also that we learn with Anne and Leslie too, when they start working on like the campaign or just this park in general. Like, how do we balance like what your goals are, what your strengths are and also our relationship, you know, like our friendship. So, yeah, I love that they're showing that.
I agree. I love it. She mentioned that she's taking the penguins to Iowa, which, being from the Midwest, I was like, why are you taking them to Iowa? And she's like, well, gay marriage is legal there. First of all, being from Illinois, where Chicago holds a lot of weight in that state.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times Illinois goes blue.
Right.
But a lot of times that's because of Chicago, because Chicago holds so much weight. Now, like other bigger cities like Peoria, Illinois, where my family is from, it's pretty split. You know, it can go blue, it can go red. So it's pretty much like a swing type situation. But I was intrigued to find out that Illinois also at this time was not legal to marry someone of the same sex, which is interesting to me, which is why she's driving through Illinois. I was like, okay, this is dumb. I'm sure it was legal in Illinois. Why would you drive through Illinois? It wasn't. Also weird to me that it was in Iowa, because Iowa, to my knowledge, is typically a pretty red state.
Yeah, super random.
Yeah. So that was interesting. I looked it up. It's accurate.
Wow.
Iowa, same-sex marriage became legal in Iowa as of 2009.
Wow.
Which is when this episode came out.
Mm-hmm.
2013 was Illinois. So they waited 4 years. Illinois, get your shit together. And then Indiana was 2014.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And then the United States as a whole in 2015.
That is insane. 2015. Shit.
Isn't that nuts?
So recent.
Yeah. It's insanity. It's 6 years. It's only been 6 years. I apologize to anyone out there that had to wait that long.
I know.
To marry who you wanted to marry. Like, I know it's not my fault, but I'm apologizing for...
On behalf of humankind.
Yes.
My God,
because,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Isn't it nuts? So, I did not see... I looked for you for Tennessee, and I looked for Virginia. Mm-hmm. And it seems like they did not do anything before the entire country went.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing people in Virginia that would drive to, I can't remember where it was. It was either Maryland or maybe it was DC. I can't remember. Somewhere that was close to Virginia, what it was legal. So people would drive up there and get their certificate and then move back. But yeah, that's so fucked up. So crazy.
I know. Well, I'm glad we've made progress at least.
Yeah, dude.
Know?
Yeah. So. Well, I hope that Pride parades still happen. Like, I don't know if it'll be this summer, because obviously, like, I just don't know if it'll be ready by then. But like with the vaccine and everything. But hopefully by next year we'll be able to like celebrate and all be naked together.
Yeah.
But I think this is a really great idea about transferring the penguins. I think that's a really good compromise. I love this idea of wanting to take them to Six Flags. I love that her goal, like we talked about, is just, it's cute. She says this again in the tag. Like, that was her bottom line. Cute. And also, side note, I don't know, I get kind of like, I was going to say this at the top, but I also didn't want to bring the mood down. I get kind of sad about zoos, honestly, because I think I'm also a little tiny bit traumatized because I went to the Central Park Zoo in New York, and I mean, I guess any zoo I kind of get sad about, but this one in particular was really terrible. The penguins looked so miserable, and there was a polar bear there, and he also looked really, really sad. And also because, like, the climate, like, is not the climate that they should be living in. And I know that there are a lot of like rescue missions, but I don't feel like that's what zoos always do. I feel like rescue missions have their like little sanctuaries where they rescue, and then they like, you know, have a little moment where they're not on display for everyone to see. And they're in their right climate, I feel. But like, I don't know, zoos kind of make me sad sometimes, but I'm trying to think of it as they might be in worse situations if they weren't at the zoo. But like, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. But my last thing also is there is a random deleted scene that does not fit in this episode at all. So I sort of get why they cut it, but it's also really wonderful. And I feel like they could have put it in some episode, but it never made it. Where Leslie's having this meeting talking about, I think she's talking about the park actually. They're out in the courtyard, and as Leslie's talking, Ron is like giggling, and you don't know what he's giggling at, and then they pan out and there's these mimes that apparently like used to perform in the parks, but they had to revoke their permit, so they've been coming to City Hall and like performing / like doing all these wild things and interrupting all her meetings and things, and then they start yelling, and it's so weird because then she's like, I thought mimes weren't supposed to talk, but then the mimes have a line of like, I will not be silenced, which is really funny, and then the police come and take them out. It was so random, but it was also really funny, and I think that it could have been a tag probably in a scene. Maybe it was a tag somewhere, but I just needed to mention that to everyone because it was very random but very funny.
I'll have to look that up for sure. I
also posted it on our page, but the Pit song has a music video. So just FYI, if you haven't checked it out already, please do that.
Beautiful. I realized we skimmed over my favorite line, so I wanted to go back really fast so that we know what it is. I relate with this so hardcore, and I've related it with it my entire life. I think I've just always been an 80-year-old woman. But it says, the thing about youth culture is I don't understand it. And like, I'm so like that. Yeah. Because I'm 27. I'm not that old.
Right.
But everybody's like obsessing over TikTok, and like, I don't get it. Like,
I don't get it.
I watch it with like my boyfriend, and my boyfriend, who is the same age, he can sit, I'm not kidding, Holly, when he had COVID, he sat there like for 6 hours a day watching TikTok. And when I hit about, I don't know if this is just who I am as a person, because I'm a very high energy, like always need to be moving type person. But I was sat there for 20 minutes and I'm like, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to watch more today.
One of my coworkers told me that if you're on TikTok for too long, they have like a thing now that pops up that says like, hey, maybe you should not be on here.
He gets that. That's what it is.
Yes, there's a thing that literally says like, hey, you've been on here for approximately 2,500 hours, so you should probably like go take a walk or like get some water or something, like go be a human real fast. And I was like, I've never seen that because I'm the same way. Okay, speaking of TikTok, now we're getting almost like crazy. We're done with the episode, you guys. If you need to end it, fine. But but like also, I was on TikTok the other day because I like doing sketches and random shit, so I'll put like random things on TikTok. And I was like just scrolling, and there's this like challenge, you know, TikTok has these challenges, and there was this one where people, like parents, are throwing like Kraft singles, like those like pieces of cheese on babies, like faces. What? And Maddie, I was so wild. I got so livid. Like I was so mad at them. And apparently it's funny to some people, and I Googled it, and it's a real thing where like people are throwing slices of cheese on babies' faces, and they like get really, like they laugh really hard at like how like, you know, discombobulated and confused that the baby gets.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what the fuck is the world? I hate it.
Yeah. I'm not about that.
Well, do you have anything else to say about this last episode, or this first episode, I should say?
I'm good.
Okay, lovely. Well, if you end here, which I hope that you don't, but if you do, do not forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. If you listen to it on Apple Podcasts, you can click subscribe. I believe on Spotify you can click follow. We're also on iHeart Radio, which I don't know if they have like a follow thing or how that works, but I don't know many people that listen directly through that app. So most of you are probably listening on Apple Podcasts. So click subscribe, write us a review, and if you don't write us a review, then at least click 5 stars. Anything below 5, I don't want to hear it, okay? And thank you to those of you who have already done that. Shout out to Christian. I hope that she listens to this, but shout out because they have been such a wonderful supporter and like making reviews and sharing shit all the time. So very happy about that, and I wanted to do a little shout out moment. So if you have any questions, let us know. If you work for a parks department, let us know. Or if you have any other things that you want to say, that'd be great.
Thanks.
So now we're going to head into therapy and hope that you stick around.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Yeah, what's been going on? Anything that you'd like to talk about?
I'm, I don't know, 6 weeks into my new job almost. Okay. This is my 6th week. I'm really enjoying it. There are definitely hard days. There are hard moments. You hear things that people have done to children, and you're like, you shouldn't be allowed to live life. So I have a little bit of hard time with that, and I really need to work on my judgment of people when they've done those things that, you know, there may be circumstances that don't warrant this behavior, obviously, but like that might explain why what's happened has happened. But, you know, I also have been really privileged to work with a lot of families that are really beautiful and wonderful and just want to be the best they can be for their child. And I'm really happy to be part of that. And so that's been really exciting. This past weekend, I started back working with the football team that I am on the board of.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So we help run a semi-pro football team here in Prescott, Arizona. And one of my main jobs is I do the footage. So I'm down on the field and I take video of all the plays and kind of the sideline stuff so that I can create hype videos. And that is like actually become a pretty big passion of mine. Holly knows this, but I don't know if I've shared this with everybody else. I played a lot of sports growing up, mostly soccer, swimming, and rugby. And I joined an adult rugby team almost 2 years ago, and I accidentally, unfortunately, I snapped my elbow, and it broke pretty hard. If you feel that, like,
time.
Yeah, if you feel that ball joint almost like on the inside of your elbow, that on mine is snapped in half. And it also like pulled my shoulder out of place too, which they say will never be fixed. Like my shoulder blades, there's one that's just always going to be protruding while the other one's at a normal spot. So it's really funny and really fun. But all that to say that I really, really was missing sports, and I really miss being on the sideline and the adrenaline you get right when kickoff is happening, and the adrenaline you get of like what happens when you score and winning, especially against a team that like you weren't supposed to win against. Like, I miss all those feelings. So getting to be on the sideline with the guys and, you know, be cheering for the team because I've been a part of it since almost the beginning of it, has just been, it kind of feeds that part of my heart without me having to be in danger. Although I will say I was almost tackled twice on the sideline this weekend.
What?
Yeah, which people were like, you might want to step back. I'm like, I'm good. I'd rather get the good footage and get mauled over than, you know, try to move out of the way and miss the play. Because I know when I'm editing the hype video later, I'm going to be pissed if I missed the actual play. So that's just my thought process. But I mean, I've also, like I said, played rugby. So I know kind of how to stand when I see someone coming so that I can kind of ground myself. I think there's only been one time I've been completely plummeted on my ass. But yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of fun, and I feel really blessed that I'm getting to do that again, just because it kind of fills that hole that I've been missing from playing sports. So it's a good moment. If you live in Prescott or you live anywhere near Prescott and would like to watch semi-pro football, please come out because we love to have fans. So
that's awesome. Well, and have you heard anything else about grad schools?
I am waiting on 2 more. I have gotten 3 no's.
Okay.
Which is okay. The biggest thing
But the Vanderbilt one doesn't really count as a no to me, I feel.
Yeah, Vanderbilt, I got an email from the head of the lab that I wanted to work in. She emailed me before Christmas and just let me know, like, she fought hard to have me in her lab, but that they didn't have money at the moment. And it's been especially hard in COVID, I guess, for these schools to find funding. So I think,
seems like such a different portion of the grad school application. It's like you have to find money for you guys to be able to, you know, go, as opposed to like if it was just based on merit, you know, and like academics.
Right. Well, if I was going for my master's, right, that's different because I'm paying the school to get in.
Right.
Whereas when you're going for your PhD, the school is paying you to basically work for them.
Right.
And that's kind of the hard part, right, is they have to find the money to be able to pay you. And that's what I'm applying for, is that position. So, yeah. It's been a little difficult.
And very competitive, I'm sure.
Oh, that's what every letter says, like, that it's, I mean, and I'm sure they say it just to say it, but, like, it's very competitive. And that this year has been especially difficult with the funding from COVID. So, I'm still waiting to hear back from my first choice and my 5th choice.
Okay,
I got a no from my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
We shall see.
We shall see. But I do have to say, like, just looking at you, it does seem like you feel like more energetic. I feel having this not teaching.
Yeah, no, accurate. And I think I was telling, I can't remember if I was telling my mom or my brother this the other day, that I'm really not at peace necessarily of not getting in, because it's still kind of, is in my heart to do this research and see what I can do to help understand the cognition and the brain better in kids with autism. But really, if I was in the teaching position right now that I was in, I would be desperate for it. I would be desperate to get a yes. Whereas I'm in a position now where I'm working with kids with autism on a daily basis, or kids who are struggling with something, and I'm able to kind of brainstorm with their families, how can we best support them? And that is kind of refueling my life. And so I feel less of a desperation for it.
Yeah,
it's more
I think that's such an interesting perspective. And like, kudos to you for really seeing that perspective, because that's so real. And also a lot of times it doesn't, like, the thing doesn't happen when you're so desperate for it anyways. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, I completely understand. So that's great. That's good to know. At least you're like working in the field that you want to be in. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's the huge change. And like you and I have talked about before, like, I don't plan on being in Arizona forever. The PhD program would just move me out faster. But, being in a job that you don't like cry about going to every day. Like, there's nothing wrong with teaching. I have a lot of respect for teachers out there, but it just wasn't fueling me, and it wasn't challenging me, and I just needed to get out.
It just wasn't for you at the time, like maybe if it was a different time or something else. I don't know.
Well, what about you, Holly?
Nothing really much has been going on. My sister and I have been doing this Beachbody workout thing. We just started the advanced version. So the first one was 3 weeks. It's called MBF, which is muscle burns fat. And then this one is MBFA, which is muscle burns fat advanced. And I was going to take a week off in between those. But then I was like, I think we should just go ahead and do it, because I'm not going to want to like do it after a week, I feel. Or like maybe I would want to do it. I just wouldn't be as motivated, I feel, to like just keep going. It's really good. I will say that I have I weighed myself. I haven't been weighing myself like we talked about, like every day or every week even, but I weighed myself after the program, and I weighed the same as I did like 2 weeks prior, and I have more muscles and I can like fit into my clothes better. So I was like, that's why it's not important. This is not important. This has no, like, literal no indication of where I'm at, like, with my health, I feel. I mean, and that is the thing that, like you said, and my sister and I have been talking about a lot. That's the trouble, or not trouble, but, like, that's, like, the fact about a muscle building program is that muscle is going to weigh more than fat. So, like, it's just not, like, going to work for you if you're only using the scale. So it's very fascinating to me. I definitely feel stronger, but I also just like feel tired lately in general. I just feel like it's weird because I feel as though it's only March and I technically had a break for Christmas, but I feel like I already need a break. I want to normalize 3-day weekends.
Seriously, though, we should.
Because I feel like Saturday and Sunday you're either running errands or like catching up from what you didn't get to do from your 40-hour-a-week job, or like you're trying to have a social life or something, like as much as you can with COVID, I guess. And then like that third day you just need to just stay home, I feel. But, and I'm just trying really hard to be patient with myself, because I am very frustrated / like working really hard to paying off my student loans. And I think by the end of next year, or like the beginning of, in 3 years time, I'll have them paid off. So that'll be really amazing. And it's nice to see a light at the end of the tunnel. But I hate it so much, like budgeting for it. So that sucks. And I also just like, I don't know, I'm just really tired of not getting paid for what I love to do. So like, but that's where everyone is right now. I'm very grateful for my paycheck, and I'm not just saying that as like a platitude. Like I really just feel like I'm very grateful to have a paycheck when not many people do. So that's what I've been trying to remind myself of. I had a voice lesson over the weekend, because at the end of this month I'm doing some musical theater videos that I'll be posting about, And so I'm very excited about that, but I wanted to get, I just wanted to get some more tips because I felt like I kind of got my voice back in shape a little bit earlier this year, but like it's still not where it used to be. I feel like it really truly is a muscle when you do not work it out, or it's like a language. When you don't speak it, you lose it. So, but it's interesting how fast it comes back. So my voice teacher is really awesome. She teaches at Belmont. I really like her a lot. And I wore a face shield because obviously COVID, and it was wild to like sing with that in front of you. The acoustics were really, really clear and very hard to get used to, but it was great. So yeah, I'm just trying to come up with creative ways to like stay, active in my art side of myself and get these loans paid down, because when you're doing your art and funding it yourself, you don't really have a lot of money for anything else. So that's where I was.
There's nothing left over.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was last 2 years with like doing the record and stuff. I just had no savings. So I'm just trying to like make sure my savings and my loans and debts are like in order, and then and obviously interspersing things where I can, but like I just can't do a short film right now or make another album or do like these dope music videos that I really want to do, because I just have to prioritize, unfortunately. But I'm still doing it. So, just as long as you have the goal in sight. But I just, things are good. They could be worse. I'm just like, tired of it all. Yeah. Oh, that was another thing that I meant to tell you. This is the last thing I'll say. I don't have the antibodies. And right, that was okay. Oh my God, you guys, did I have COVID? I'm sure I did. No, so I learned a couple things. So I went on Friday. Today is Monday. I went on Friday to get the test at Kroger, and it takes like 15 minutes, you guys. If you want to see if you have the antibodies, like, go do it, because I had the voice lesson the next day, and I was like, oh, I could. And I also am shooting that video or those videos where I think we're all going to get tested to be sure that we're safe and everything. And but I was going to tell the voice lesson teacher, like, hey, I have the antibodies, so we're actually safe. I don't need to wear a shield, or you're safe rather, which I probably would have wore a shield anyway, because I just know that's how it is, but I just wanted to be a little bit more careful with it. And the test came back that I did not have the antibodies. I learned that there are two types of antibodies, long-term and short-term. The short-term is what comes up first. And apparently, as soon as your body detects a virus, so as soon as my body knew that COVID was in it, there were the short-term antibodies created, and that starts attacking the virus. But then, like, once the virus is gone, or once those antibodies aren't needed anymore, they leave, right? So, but the long-term ones are the ones I think that are like fighting more, apparently. Now, again, I'm saying this not as a nurse or a doctor, but what I surmised / was told from the nurse there. So, but then I was like, well, maybe just too much time has passed, because they do say that, like, even if you have the long-term ones or whatever, like maybe after 3 or 4 months it's gone, but usually you do have them. And, but I didn't have any of them. And then I talked to a friend of a friend who had COVID around the same time I did, and they have the antibodies. And then there was this, my coworker who never technically tested, she tested negative for COVID when I said I had it, because I told everyone at work. She has the antibodies. I'm like, what the fuck? It's so...
Jeez Louise.
It's just so, like, it's such a crapshoot. It's all mental, honestly, because you're just like, you have to stay the course with your sanity. But, y'all, I don't know. So we just don't know enough about this disease, I feel. Well, maybe now we do. But the vaccine is hopefully enough. But anyway, so to those of you who have gotten it, good for you. And I'm really happy. And to those of you who don't, who haven't, or who do not want to get it or whatever, listen to Dolly, because Dolly has a wonderful video where she says, like, get your vaccine.
Yeah. But I have somebody who shared with me that they're not getting it because they get really, really bad reactions to shots. And they've already had COVID. And so they're like, the likelihood of me getting it again, and then also the fact that I just, like, I could basically almost die from this shot. Yeah. Like, so you do have to think about that. That's where I completely understand. We have people here, and I was explaining this to Holly the other day. I've gotten both doses of my shot, as have my brother and my boyfriend who work in a restaurant. And Holly was like, but like how?
Yeah.
Because
every state
accurate.
is different.
Yeah, every state is very different. We tend to have a lot of people here who don't believe in the vaccine. And then we have the very small but present group of people who believe that the government is going to be microchipping them through the vaccine. So we got to move up the list because so many people were like, nah, I'm not getting this.
Well, and also, which I didn't know, that you said that Ivan and Connor and you got it because you were a teacher. And then Ivan and Connor are considered essential workers because they were working in the restaurant service industry. So that was a thing, because I don't think that here that essential workers / service industry people are necessarily in that phase. Like for us, I think it's over 65, obviously, but and like the health issues and obesity, diabetes, all those kind of like pre-existing conditions, that's also a thing now. That's a different phase. But the first one for us was I think it was just healthcare workers and teachers. I don't know that maybe it was essential workers and I just didn't know, but whatever. But do what's right for you and be safe. And, also some people have gotten sick from it, so Maddie got sick for a little bit. So that sucked.
Surely did. Sucked super hard. If you have had COVID in the last 90 days, do not get your shot yet.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that until after they administered the first shot. And I was like, why am I so sick? And then they found out it's because I had COVID within the last 90 days. And that it hits you much harder, apparently.
That is
wild.
Nobody
tells you that when you go in. Nobody's like, have you had COVID in the last 90 days?
Shouldn't they be asking that? Oh, my God.
Probably.
Everything is a mess.
Yeah, it's a hot mess. I survived it. It was not a fun moment, but I survived it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Okay. Well, thanks you guys so much for listening. Maddie, did you have anything else to say?
I did not. I'm ready for stakeout next week, you guys.
Yes!
Do it.
Oh my God. So ready.
A good one.
Thanks for sticking with us. If you've been here since the beginning, we appreciate you so much. If you're just joining us, go back and listen to the other ones because they're dope AF. Not like my own horn, but also toot. But also just thanks in general. And yeah, my challenge this week for everybody is to, like, if you don't share it by like sending a link, then like just, talk about Parks and Rec with someone. And thank a woman. Thank your mom today. Or
Happy International Women's Day.
If you have your mom still around, or any woman that you admire that's still in your life. So thanks again so much. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know if you have any questions. Follow us on Instagram as well. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.